Hey Heartlanders! In today's video, I interviewed the actor Nathaniel Arcand, who plays one of the most beloved and interesting characters ever to be on Heartland, Dr. Scott Cardinal. Dr. Cardinal is an on-again, off-again love interest to Lou, as well as the owner and operator of the Hudson Vet Clinic, where he worked closely with Ty and Cassandra. The character of Dr. Scott has been an integral part of almost every season of Heartland and a huge fan favorite. And Nathaniel was very forthright and honest about his time on the show thus far. Watch this.
For me, I when I first started Heartland all those years ago now, 18 now, I think now,
Can you
because
believe it?
yeah, I was on the first day of filming everything. I was there right from the beginning, and everybody I've watched grow up since then, and blossom and do their own things, and
Yeah.
there's always something a story or some kind of more moral to the story
Yes,
kind of
every
thing,
single
right?
episode. I love that. I know it's a long time ago, like you said, but in season one, the one episode that you were in a commercial for Heartland, like on the show, you were playing, yourself, Scott, and you did such a good job. You were playing to the camera, which you never do as an actor, right?
Is that for the commercial thing?
Yes.
You okay, Scott?
I don't know. I guess so.
Okay. And action.
Heartland combines traditional veterinary practices with alternative therapies and herbs. I've been a vet for 6 years, and I give Heartland my seal of approval. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so good. I love that part. It was so funny.
For me, I had amazing time in the beginning of Heartland. I was, I think everybody was just hopeful that it would last 1, 2, 3 seasons, right?
Right.
Never mind 17 seasons, and so here we are. Like I remember we were on their first season. Like, what if we get a second? Oh, we got a second, and then there's a
Right.
second. What if we get a third? Oh, there's a third, and we're like, oh my god, there's a fourth. Oh, and then
Right.
five. It just kept on coming. Then somebody, I think I even said, I said, what if let's go to 20? That's what I said.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard through the grapevine somewhere that that's the goal. The one great thing about it is always has been Amber and her her
Yes.
her glue. She's the glue of that whole show. I have to say, because every time I go there, that's the person I want to see is Amber.
Well, you played a lot with Graham, who was also like he was for in terms
Oh
of
yeah,
fan favorites.
oh totally. And of course, before they took him out of the show, I was very sad about that. I didn't understand, but I understand from a personal view as an actor that
Right. And it's
sometimes we
just
got to just
amazing.
let go and go, right? Get out of there while the
It's
getting's
it's
good.
just amazing that a show can lose like someone that was so popular like him, and it's still popular.
Well, I think um, Graham left enough of himself in this show that
Yeah.
people, can understand because, just like the first episode, we lost the mother,
Yeah,
and then
that's true.
there's just things like that, and to lose another amazing character like Graham played.
Yeah.
I love playing side by side with him on TV. He was amazing to work with always, and I hope I talk to him once in a while and say hey, message him and say hey man, let's work
Yeah.
on something together, not Heartland, but
Right.
something else.
He's
And
actually auditioning for other things, I guess, now. So maybe you guys will be in something together.
you never know. I think he took a break, for his own personal reasons. I know, I do know, I was like, he deserves that break. He's
Yeah.
been on that show nonstop, him and Amber, and I can't believe Amber's just like every time you see her, she's still like, let's go.
Yeah,
She,
she's
she's
amazing. I know that was a big part of the show, like you being a vet, and of course, Graham. It was such a cohesive part of the show, and it brought so many interesting storylines into the show. Also, do you have any funny stories about something that happened at the vet clinic?
let me think. There was some moments. I think I can't really think of a specific one, but I'm trying to think. We joked about how it was was always coming into the room, and I'm talking, and I'm like, talking, showing them stuff, and and
Oh,
I
right.
think for me it was the words I had to say that were funny. I think if I think about it now, I there was a lot of bloopers of me mispronouncing some
Like
kind of
medical
medical
terms.
term. Yeah, and those words are like wild. Like they're like
Yes.
20 words, and you go metaphysical.
Yes.
What? And you got to say that in a sentence without blinking
Yeah.
an eye,
Yeah,
and
you have
you're
to
like,
make it seem really believable, which you did.
yeah, like you don't know
Like a,
what you're talking about,
right. Did you like playing a vet?
You know what, for me, anybody else I talk to, that it's a great role to have, especially being a native person, and
Yes.
and that we don't have many native veterinarians.
Right.
If I know anybody, maybe if they haven't presented themselves,
Right.
but for me, I was honored to play a doctor,
I
you
think it's
know,
awesome.
and I always tell people this, oh, you're Scott. I say Dr. Scott, and so I take that very seriously. I mean, it's an awesome role to play, and
Yes.
it's given me a lot of opportunities in my own life, and it made me more aware of animals in general, and
Yes.
instead of just loving them, but being more, thoughtful towards them as well,
Yes.
like in terms of what they eat, what's their surroundings, all these
Yeah.
kind of things.
And that's one of the great parts about Heartland, that there's that animal, the human animal connection. It just makes the show so special.
Yeah. Oh, I already loved horses. I was a horse lover
Really?
since I've been a little guy. I jumped on a horse when I was 6, and I got bucked off, and I still wanted to get back on, and I still got on, and I still got on the horses, and I've always been riding
That's
since I was a kid. And I always joke around with the wranglers and say, how good can you ride? And on a scale of 1 to 10, I go 11. One
wow.
plus 10 is 11, and they go,
They
yeah,
must have
right.
made him, they must
But
have
it just
loved
means,
that.
well, it just means I'm fearless on the horse. Just like it took me like into my 20s to actually learn properly how to ride before I just hang on.
You had any other roles where you've had to ride a horse?
I've even done my own stunts. I did this movie called Crazy Horse. We rode in the Badlands. We were up in the Black Hills. Everything.
Oh, really?
I got to experience Lakota country, Oglala, the
Oh,
North
wow.
Dakota, the South Dakota people. All of them. They were all beautiful people, and to be there was amazing, and it was very spiritual. Yeah, I always laugh too about my characters I mostly work with. He's usually just Graham
Right.
and Amber. That
Yeah.
was it. Or a
And
horse
Michelle,
or
and
a
of course,
dog.
Michelle. We have to ask you
Oh,
about
and Michelle.
Michelle.
Oh my
I have
God.
to
Yeah,
ask you.
I was forgetting, like, what we forget about the main part here, Michelle,
Yeah, we
right?
have to ask you about Michelle. Do you think there's any, like, how do you feel about the whole storyline? I know in the books, Scott and Michelle and Lou actually get married,
Yeah,
but on the
Scott and Lou got
show,
married in the books, and I always thought about that too.
How are you doing out there, Scott?
Trying to get myself killed?
How's it going so far?
I'm beginning to think this horse doesn't like me. I think you two could finish that conversation later.
I have to say that it was my fault. I think that I screwed that up in the beginning. I had, I think Heartland loved me, that they wanted to,
yeah,
make this true, make it part of the books and all that. But
right.
somewhere around 4 or 5, the 5th season, I opted out of my contract, and I wanted to explore
Oh,
their avenues and go elsewhere, and just but still be part of the show. But
right,
because I had lost out on some other roles that Heartland
right,
didn't let me do, because
right,
it was just, I don't know, but
right. The time
I
period.
felt, yeah, and I felt bitter about it. I safely say that now. I was a different person back then anyway, too, right?
Right,
For
of
me
course.
now, I would have stuck it out and just kept on hanging on. For me now,
Right,
I'm 10 years sober. That's what I'm
right.
saying. 10
And
years
yeah, 10
sober.
years old.
So back then I
Right.
was a drunken mess, and I was just making bad decisions, and that was one of them. And I thought about that. I said, why aren't they getting Lou and Scott married? But I screwed
Yeah,
that up. Yeah, they tried to keep the romance going, but
right.
eventually it just faded away. And the boat finally sailed, and I don't know if it'll ever come back. but you
Well,
never know.
people love
That's the
Scott. I really think that after Amber and Graham, you're probably I mean, in all seriousness, probably the third most loved character on the show.
you know, if Heartland producers, you know, those guys want to talk to me and, you know, and say, hey man, let's bring you in a bigger impact, a bigger way. I'd rather come on for a whole week and put on some real acting performance instead of this, you know, one time thing. Even Chris Potter says you guys don't use Nathaniel enough. Sean and I were talking about plays Grandpa Jack, and I known Sean for a couple of other different shows, North of 60. That was the first time I worked with Sean Johnston, and you know, it just, for me and him, we're character actors. We're, you know, we love getting into our characters.
Yeah, he's such a great actor too.
And and he's one of those guys who's just, you know, he's that guy when he becomes it, right?
Yeah.
And he's been Grandpa Jack now for 17 years and you know, 18 years, I should say. And he does such an amazing job at that character. And I always believe it's him, but I know it's Sean Johnson under that big fat mustache. I have to keep remembering that too sometimes, right? But man, I get lost in his character, you know, and that's how good he plays it.
Well, you're the vet. What are we looking at?
Well, you and I were talking one day, I think it was season 16, or he said, he was saying, yeah, we're bringing back all the old characters. Like we're gonna bring in these guys were like, you know, like tired of this new faces every time. He's going. I was like, I agree, buddy. I was like, yeah, keep me in if you want.
What did you think of season 15, where they sort of brought Scott back a little bit? He and Lou sort of got back together, and then it was just like, okay, what happened?
It's not me. It's not my decision. No, it's the writers. They have like 3 or 4 writers, and they all have their favorites.
We're devastated as well.
Well,
I mean, they used to love writing Tide,
you know, or whatever that is, you know. So, and I mean, being Amber and him, you know, that was the storyline, right? For me, I thought for real, that was the love story there, you know. And for me, we're just all the side characters in this.
Well, it's funny you said that. I even did a video saying, who's Amber's new boyfriend in season 16? Could it be Scott? That'd be a good idea.
No.
People were like, yeah. Some people said no. Some people said, oh yeah, that'd be a good idea.
No way. You know, it's not. I really think of Amber as a little sister.
That's whatever. Right.
Life, you know, it's like I watched those guys grow up. You know, so it's for me. There's no weird feelings there at all. You know, for me, it's like I go in there. That's my sister. You know, kind of feeling. You know, and I'm, you know, that I'm giving her the whatever I can to make her look good. You know. Yeah. And best knowledge, you know, things, and that's the way I always felt. And I would feel really bad and indifferent about being anything else than that. You know?
Something about his family. There's so many ways they could bring Scott back. You know, even regardless of any type of relationship with Amy. Like because being a vet, like you said,
side story, maybe even it's this doctor's Scott's own little sideshow. You know, some sort of different shows. I did this. But up until last year, I did how many different shows? I did this movie called, which stars Adam Beach and Simon Baker and myself and Graham Greene and a bunch of native. It's an ensemble of native actors.
Awesome.
And it's based on well, I don't know. It's just a story about 2 brothers trying to get their money and coming back home to the res. I don't know. I don't want to. I've been on, and then there's this other Netflix series I've been on that we filmed last year, and I don't know when it's gonna, if we're coming back for season 2, and when it's gonna air. After Boys is based on the books. It's another. It's kind of like the Waltons meet
really?
Heartland.
That's our story. Oh no, someone else.
Yeah, you know, like a huge family, and it's like they're going to high school. She had a nice little story. It's you know, I love it. The other one was Avatar. Lots of dynamics in it. You know, I had my days.
Lot.
I have, and you know, and you know, I had to turn down a couple of things, you know, and I was just, you know, I kind of shot myself in the foot after a while, but because of my drinking, that's why I quit drinking, and it was like, and it was the right choice for sure, of course, but I was just fighting demons, as pre-alcoholic people do, and anybody drinks alcohol, and if they're trying to, drink their blues away, that's the whole point, and
That's right.
anyway, I didn't realize that I didn't need alcohol to get over my shittiness in my life, and do something different, and find a better way, and I did.
What a great and honest guy, and what an awesome actor. And we certainly hope that we'll see Scott Cardinal again in an upcoming season of Heartland. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more great videos all about Heartland. Bye for now.